Welcome back. Let's talk about some mean girls today. Belinda and Brenda were Nancy Auntie's nieces. The secretaries of the Godreges at the time were mostly Anglo Indians. So Nancy Auntie and Franklin Uncle's extended family was across the world in the US and in Hong Kong, among other places. For the rest of us neighbors who had mostly interacted with our rural family members, seeing people from a different part of the world piqued our interest. Belinda and Brenda were visiting Nancy Auntie from Hong Kong for their vacation. I looked at their trendy haircuts with fringes and their trendy clothes and accessories and was fascinated. Anyway, I always believed in being a good host, and our neighbors' guests were our guests. That's how we used to behave. So I would play with them and tell them stories. I noticed that something was off compared to when I interacted with the other kids around me. I was only beginning to discover a whole different side to kids and, in extension, people. My family was unusually frank and open. They were free of malice, very straightforward, simple people. So, to me, the whole world was like that until it was not. At the time, mom and dad would put up swings for us during summer vacation, jhula on a tree. They used to buy some rope and they used to actually put up a proper jhula with a wooden seat also. So we would share the swing with all the other kids. So I was on the swing on a Sunday and the two girls, Belinda and Brenda, were with me. Usually, any new person complimented me on my hair. On Sundays, we washed our long hair and let it loose to dry. So then in the evening, it would be oiled and braided. So I was on the swing with my unusually long hair let loose, flying in the breeze as I was on the swing. I noticed that unlike the other kids, Belinda and Brenda did not comment on my long hair at all. Not that I was looking for compliments, but the hair usually induced some acknowledgement. The second thing I noticed was that when I was trying to entertain the two girls with my stories, they were making snarky remarks and sniggering. I excused myself and left. Another time, Cheryl and Charmin and Charlotte's cousins were visiting them for the vacation. During the summer, Netra and I and a couple of other kids would enact improv plays and skits to entertain ourselves and our friends. They used to be great fun for us. They would be spontaneous and fun. They involved princes and princesses and royal balls where everyone danced and sang. So we decided to put up a play for our friends visiting cousins. We started off well. Then I noticed Netra's demeanor change. She stopped being enthusiastic about the skit and was hesitant to come back on stage. She had already figured out something that I was about to discover. The cousins looked at us in disdain and said that our skit was very boring. Then they got up and walked away. I could not believe they would be so rude. I was discovering the invisible social divide. This had nothing to do with intelligence or intellect, and it had everything to do with your background. It was not even about wealth. Rural Punjabis are plenty wealthy. It did not matter that everyone living around us was of a similar socioeconomic background. It mattered where your cousins and grandparents lived and how privileged they were, whether they were from a village or some cool foreign land. I was anyway in awe of the stylish people that I had started seeing in Bombay when I came from Dapchari and had a complex about my appearance. Now I also noticed other things. All other Punjabis who lived around us spoke to their kids in Hindi. I had a few Punjabi classmates and none of them had learnt Punjabi, nor had I heard their parents ever speak in Punjabi. So I started thinking that the Thet Punjabi that was spoken in my home was something to be embarrassed about. I felt that my long oiled braids were something to be embarrassed about. And of course, I had the huge fat nose that made me very self-conscious. Once I was wearing a dungaree style corduroy pant that had straps like suspenders. The boss's daughter was a cool older teen whom I found intimidating. That day, she called me over to where she was playing table tennis. I could not believe that this cool older girl had called me. She was surrounded by all the older boys and girls that I was in awe of. When I got to where she was standing, she tried to pull my dungaree strap down. I realized that she was only trying to make fun of me in front of her friends. With an awkward laugh, I walked away. After a few days, I was walking home in the evening and said bye to my friend when she turned towards her own house. Another older girl, who was again a cool older girl, she'd been hanging out with some of the same boys as before. She imitated me, like she went bye in a funny way, and all the boys burst out laughing. I was this awkward 11 or 12-year-old at this time and looked up to these older kids. I guess the girl was just trying to impress those boys, or they were all just really bored sitting there. But to my little girl brain, it felt like this is the kind of person I had to become in order to be accepted into such crowds. And so I started changing myself. I developed my sarcasm and started practicing ridiculing people. If someone I did not know passed by, I would just snigger as they passed by in order to make them feel bad. I started doing such things because I felt that was the way to be. Another incident that triggered this mean streak was my pen pal. Let's call her Amy. I'll tell you more about Amy in the next episode. Till then, stay healthy, stay happy. Bye for now.